It sucks when people don't get the recognition they deserve. That's what I'm here to remedy today. These are my top 10 most underrated guitar players ever. I'll be right back. Welcome to another video. My name is Elmo, Karjalainen. You can call me this guy if that's tricky to pronounce. It's good to have you along. Today we're taking a look at my top 10 most underrated guitar players ever. Well, actually I have 11, but I couldn't choose, so it's top 10 plus 1. Yes, so let's dive right in. Why did I make this video? Well, basically I wanted to kind of shed a light on some people who sadly quite often get overlooked when we talk about great guitar players. Some of these are more well known, some of them are not, some of them are basically totally unknown. I'll have links to everyone in the description, so check that description out. Most of them will be to YouTube. I'll try to link to their official channels if they have any. One guy I think I know, he is not on YouTube, so I'll have to paste a Spotify link. Also, the nature of being underrated means that not a lot of people know about you, or quite often don't know about you. So if you know of some underrated guitar players, please put those in the comments, because I'd be interested to hear anyone you think deserves being mentioned, deserves being heard. So without further ado, let's jump right in. These are in no particular order. I won't play too much because some of these guys I don't know how to play like them. The first one I will play a short example of. And so on, that's Mattias Johansson, the crazy Swedish Viking bearded person who plays an 8-string guitar, and nothing he does is kind of normal. He's been heavily influenced by Frank Zappa, among others. He's been on Steve Vai's Favored Nations label. He's the guitar player and singer of a band called Freak Kitchen, and he has his own kind of solo thing, which is called Freak Guitar. Every summer he hosts a camp outside of Gothenburg in Sweden called the Freak Guitar Camp, which gets guests such as Guthrie Govan and so on and so forth, and you basically spend 2 weeks in the middle of nowhere doing nothing else but playing guitar and having fun. He's a great guitar player, some of the cleanest technique I ever heard, and he's funny. He's a nice guy. I've just seen it in interviews, and later on I've met him a couple of times, and he's really nice, down to earth, funny, and he even agreed to appear on my last album, or my previous album, on a couple of songs, and I'll post a link. There's one here somewhere now, if you want to check out what he did on one of my songs called Falling for Falafels. I remember receiving his tracks, listening back to them, and honestly being a bit scared. What do I do playing like after him? Because I need to really up my game. He's just that good. So Mattias Johansson, do check him out. He's absolutely great. Okay, second guy. This guy comes from Macedonia, and I'm actually going to play a bit by him as well. And so on. It's actually not his song. It's a traditional Balkan type, Slavic type song called, and now I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation, Karajitsko Oro. I don't know how to say that. It's an incredible, he's an incredible guitar player. He used to play for a band called Leb I Sol. Brilliant. I mean, I remember hearing him back in the day, and my old guitar teacher Sasha Opacic introduced this guy's music to me, and like I was wondering, where has this guy been all my life? He does all the same kind of, he can do all the same kind of stuff that Steve Vai could do, and alternate picking like Yngwie Malmsteen and all that kind of, maybe not exactly, but still. And he had his own style, and he was melodic, tasteful, and all that, and it was full of intensity. brilliant stuff. He's done very diverse stuff, so I'll put a link to Karjalainen so you can hear what that sounds like. It's a crazy old song. If you want to play that, I'd recommend that because it's a great exercise as well for the guitar. So there's one, Vlatko Stefanovski. He was the second one on the list. Number 3. Now, I don't know what this guy's real name is. He goes by the stage name of Cuthead. He's a Swiss guitar player, if I've understood correctly. I found him or met him online back in the days of MySpace. Remember that? He had 2 or 3 albums out, and especially the last one, which was called Walkabout, was a great album. Absolutely brilliant guitar player. I think he does mostly session work, but if you haven't heard this guy and you like guitar music, I think you have to check him out. I'll put some link to something. That it might be worst case scenario, might be that I can only put a link to his CD Baby page, but even so, just go and buy his album because you won't regret it. It's a kind of fusion E type of thing. So if you're into metal, that's not the type of stuff he does. But it's like Jeff Beck fusion type stuff on a Strat, and it's really great. Check him out. He's definitely underrated. Yeah, sadly I can play very little by Danny Gatson. Gary Gatson? Gary Gatton? Danny Gatson is sadly no longer with us. He was one of the absolute best guitar players ever. I think I actually have him on my top 10 list of the best guitar players ever. He's definitely on the top 10 of the most underrated guitar players ever. His playing was insane. Funny story, back in the day when I was learning how to play guitar, I was already kind of semi-decent on the instrument. My guitar teacher Sasha told me if I learn any one of Danny Gatson's songs with all the tricks he does, even just the easiest one that he has, but all the tricks that he does, if I learn any song of his, I can choose whichever of Sasha's guitars I want. And he had a very expensive old Les Paul from, I think it was the 70s. He still has it, by the way, which is ridiculously, it costs ridiculous amounts. And he would even have let me have that one. So confident was Sasha that I would not learn a song by Danny Gatson. And his confidence was well placed. I never did. I did ask him a few years later, is that offer still valid? And he said, no way. I spent a while trying to learn some Danny Gatson stuff, but I mean, it's just, he's out of this world. And he does that whole hybrid picking thing, which I suck at. So, yeah. But great. And he's also, the one thing that I think a few of these people have in common and that I really respect in musicians is when they're funny. Danny Gatson, as well as Mattias Johansson, has that ability to be funny, and I think that's great. Okay, next one. I think that is number 5. 1, 2, 5. Yeah, number 5. Per Nielsen of the Homo Sapiens. Yes, he used to play in a band called the Homo Sapiens, if I remember correctly, more known for his work with the band Scar Symmetry. And oh my gosh, oh, jolly good. He's insane. Recently he's been subbing for Fredrik Tordendal of Meshuggah, so he's been playing Fredrik Tordendal on stage with Meshuggah, which anyone who does that, kind of, I tip my hat to you. This guy, absolutely insane. He's played with the band called Scar Symmetry, which was his band. They were brilliant. I actually don't know if they exist anymore, but if you like metal and shred guitar, this guy is definitely someone you should check out, Per Nielsen. The great thing about him is also that he's not a one-trick pony, so he's played some really progressive stuff that hasn't been metal, and he's played some fusiony stuff as well. He can just about do most things. Absolutely brilliant guitar player. Do check him out. Next one is a Finnish mate of mine. Well, not some mate of mine, I've met him once. He's a very nice guy. Mr. Fastfinger. Mr. Fastfinger, Mika Tyyska. Very nice guy, makes some great music. He has the stage name of Mr. Fastfinger with the cartoon character and all that. Very nice guitar player. I remember hearing him and thinking, hey, where did this guy come from? Why didn't I know about this guy? He's Finnish, and well, now I know about this guy. So I don't know how well known he is outside of Finland. I suspect not very, but absolutely another absolutely great guitar player. I do urge you to check him out. Also does all kinds of stuff. Very good. So Mika Tyyska, Mr. Fastfinger, check him out. Okay, so then we have the last one of the really unknown ones. This guy is called Maurice Viraj. I don't know how active he is anymore. Which if he isn't very active anymore, I think that's a sad thing, because he's really very, very good. He also did that one song called Karjalainen that I played earlier. Because he's from the same region as Vlatko Stefanovski. I remember speaking to him online and he knew instantly who I was talking about when I asked him about Vlatko and the band Levi. So, Maurice, if you're watching this, who's watching this? No one's watching this. If you're watching this, hey, make some more music because we miss you, man. Maurice Viraj, definitely someone to check out. I think he has a couple of albums out. I think you can find those on CD. Maybe I'll put links to his channel below. Do check him out. And the thing that he did with that song Karjalainen, he didn't play it regular. He just played it tapping most of the way, which was, let's make it even more crazy. Yeah, that's so Maurice Viraj. Do check him out. And also, he's not just a one-trick shreddy pony. He can do all kinds of stuff as well. Okay, so then we have 4 people who are slightly more well-known, but I wanted to include these guys because I think for different reasons they're slightly underrated. The first one, well, he might not be that well-known. He's kind of recently become famous online, let's say. He's been a session musician, he's been a touring musician. It's Mr. Greg Koch. Greg Kochenheimer of Wildwood Story fame. If you haven't... Okay, so here's the thing. He's a great guitar player. He also does that whole funny thing. So I'll link to a song called Heed the Boogaloo, and if you don't smile at that guitar solo, I don't know what you'll smile at, because that solo is just... You have to hear that and watch that thing, because he's so great. And also, I urge you, if you have nothing else to do and just want to watch YouTube videos, watch his outtakes from the Wildwood guitar thingy, because he can just go on and on and on and be funny as hell, speaking or playing. I mean, brilliant. And he's a brilliant guitar player. He does that whole telly thing. But I have him here mostly because he's just so funny, and like I said, I like funny, so sue me. Next one, I think this is number 9. If I have 11, it should be number 9. It's, well, this guy needs no introduction, and let me introduce to you Frank Zappa. Now I hear and see a lot of you going, what? What do you mean he's underrated? As a guitar player, I think he is. A lot of people, or at least some people that I know, kind of turn their nose up at his guitar playing. Everyone kind of agrees that he was a brilliant musician, wrote some great music, and an innovator and all that kind of stuff. But for some reason, it seems that his guitar playing is kind of forgotten. But let's think about this a bit. He's released a couple of double albums, I think they were. Shut Up and Play Your Guitar, Shut Up and Play Your Guitar some more, The Return of the Son of Shut Up and Play Your Guitar, and then there was Guitar, and whatever else there was. Just guitar solos that were not actually songs, they were just guitar solos. And I can't think of a single guitar player who I'd be willing to just sit and listen to their guitar solos. They might play some brilliant solos, but I want to listen to a whole album of songs and then some guitar solos, and the balance can be whatever. But the idea of making an album, let alone many albums, of just guitar solos seems bonkers to me. Maybe I'll make one. And he pulled it off. So Frank Zappa, for me, an underrated guitar player, where of course everyone kind of realizes what he did on a musical level. Then we have the last one, -1, so there's one more after this, is Mr. Prince. Sorry, not Mr. Prince, just Prince, who sadly is no longer with us. Brilliant singer, great performer, but I don't know how many people actually realize what a great guitar player that guy was. I mean, just listen to the solo of Purple Rain, which is, okay, admittedly has been beaten to death, played to death everywhere, but that guitar solo, just that guitar solo alone, is enough for me to know that this guy is a great guitar player, and I think he often doesn't get the credit that he deserves for his guitar playing. And lastly, now this one, feel free to disagree because he's a very highly rated guitar player who's in the Hall of Fame of different guitar magazines. I have him along mainly because he's gotten stick over the years from critics and from certain circles because he's the guitar player of a band called Toto. Yes, it's Steve Lukather, and I think he's one of my favorite guitar players, full stop. He's absolutely great, and for some reason, some weird reason, him and the band Toto gets a bunch of stick. I just don't get it. I read his autobiography, and he said that Miles Davis had called him, asked him to be in his band, or at least do something with Miles Davis. And if he's good enough for Miles Davis, he's good enough. He should be good enough for basically anyone. But for some reason, critics have bashed Toto again and again. Now, I don't know if you've ever actually sat down and listened to that short guitar solo in Rosanna. If you haven't, do, because it's absolutely brilliant. What I will link to is a song called Song for Jeff, which is a song that he wrote for Jeff Porcaro after Jeff died. And I mean, it's a brilliant song. So that's my kind of top 10 + 1 underrated guitar players. I hope you liked this list. I hope you agree with it to some degree. I hope you don't entirely agree, because like I said, I want your comments. I want to find more guitar players that I've never heard of that are good, or someone that I might just have forgotten about. If you haven't seen my video on the top 10 guitarists of all time, there's a card here somewhere. Other than that, I hope you find the time to check out some of my original music. There's an end screen here somewhere. Now, click like, subscribe if you haven't already, hit that bell notification thing, comment, support me on Patreon. See you in another one. Take care. Goodbye!